And they sell different ones of these. I don't know which is the right one you're supposed to get, but this is what we're gonna use today and see how it works. I can see you in the video crawling. That looks awesome. You might as well just walk. Now I gotta do this over because y'all look like fucking ants go marching one by one behind me. So I'd rather stay out of that part of it. I'm not gonna give you a tutorial about it. I'm just giving you my experience to warn you to make sure if you are like me and don't know much about this stuff, just to take your time, a few minutes, and go over what you need to do for safety, for your property, and for yourself.
Yeah. Jsean.
Hey, what's going on? This is Jsean with another quick pickup. I'm actually really cheap with some things. Try to save money the best way I can. So some stuff like little things, I actually don't like spending a lot of money on for some reason, but when I do make purchases that I like, I don't mind actually going out the extra mile and spending a decent amount of money to invest in something that I personally want. So with that being said, there's some things that I like to do, and I'm really into jewelry and stuff like that. And I go to jewelers and get them to polish jewelry, get them to polish different types of metals. And my father used to do it, and I've always wondered, he used to like make castings and stuff out of silver and turquoise back in the day and sculpt and make custom rings out of wax molds and everything that he made. So I was always kind of interested in it, thought it was cool, but I just never knew how to do any of it. So I bought like one of those little, it's like a mini Dremel tool, and I tried to clean, like I have like some gold fronts, and I have like some jewelry that I always wanted to kind of buff, but I ended up taking it to jewelers and paying them to either re-rhodium it for white gold or just repolish it for yellow gold and stuff like that. So instead of doing that, I kind of wanted to know what it was like to do it by myself. So I'm gonna take a couple pieces of jewelry that I have that I'm not too concerned about, and I want to go ahead and try to polish it myself. So I went to Harbor Freight, got a pretty decent deal on, it's only a 1-speed polisher. You can change the polishing brushes out or whatever they're called. I don't even know what this stuff is called in technical terms. But long story short is the box had a little bit of holes in it. It only retailed for like 50 and some change, and I got it only for 40. And I picked up this right here, which is basically just what you need in order to polish, which is this red stuff. Now I have a little bit, but I don't know, I never used it before, but the one that I have is really hard. And it's so hard that I feel like it's stale, like it's old. So I don't know, touching this one, I'll see if it's more of a clay feel or soft. And it has a white one. And on the back, it says Red Jewelers, I think it's Rouge or Rouge. I don't know. It's R-O-U-G-H. I don't know how to pronounce it. But it says for polishing and enhancing the color of gold, silver, and platinum. So that seems to be more for your fine jewelry. They have the White Jewelers Rouge, I think it's called, for polishing copper, brass, aluminum, steel, iron, nickel, chrome plate, gold, silver, and platinum. So you can still do jewelry, but it seems like a more of a harsh material that's made for polishing all different types of metals. I also have some brass things that my father gave me. They're like these little ornament things, like owls. They are kind of shiny, but they don't have that mirror polish to it. So I want to attempt to try it on some things that I'm not worried about messing up. It says maximum RPM 4,000. I guess that may have to do with these. And I think these actually can go on a drum. I'm not a drum, like a drill. So we'll see how that works out. And I really only bought this because I wanted these two things, or really just this red one. And I didn't see who sold it just by itself. So with that being said, let me show you what this looks like. Here's the hole. And I know a lot of people think Harbor Freight is like a budget version of certain tools and accessories, and which is kind of true, but sometimes that's all you need. Now for certain drills, if you need to do certain type of work, you're gonna have to probably spend a little more and get the good thing that you need. But something like this, where I'm not a jeweler, I don't polish things all the time, I just think about this. If you go and polish a ring and they're not rhodium dipping it or rhodium plating it or whatever it is, they're just polishing it, they may charge you $20, $30, even maybe $40. I ended up paying almost like $40 for my ring. So if you're able to do that by yourself one time successfully, you've already pretty much evened out your money. And now you have an actual polisher, or whatever this correct term is for this, a buffer, 6-inch buffer, 6-inch wheels, I guess, on here. Hopefully you can see it. Now in the box doesn't look as big as it may seem in the video, but in the store, I guess because it's all set up and put together, it looked kind of big. So I'm just gonna kind of open it just so you can see what comes in it. These aren't really reviews or technical reviews. These is more like just, I'm a regular person that needed something done, and I wanted to attempt to do it by myself. So a lot of you out there may be in the same boat, and you just want to try it out for $50 or so. It's not too much of a risk, and it's something that you may be interested in. Maybe just kind of cool. You might just start polishing random things that you didn't even have a need to polish before, just because you're able to. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Just give you a normal person perspective is what I always like to say. And let's get right to it and see what's inside. So this is the buffering pads that came with it. Now, I don't remember seeing stuff that looked like cloth like this. Usually what I remember is being some soft material. It is very dusty. Make sure when you do this that you're not, you're in a well-ventilated space. And hopefully by me doing it for the first time, I'm not ruining anything. It's just a good experience. And I feel like I got my money's worth. I thought I was gonna have to actually assemble this, but apparently not. And it actually has rubber feet on the bottom. Even though the box was messed up, this doesn't appear to be damaged in any type of way. Let's see, I'm really excited about this too, because this is something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Okay, so this is cracked actually, right here. It was cracked. This is just like a cover. It was just a little cracked, I guess, from the box, but as long as this works, I'm not really worried about it. 6-inch buffer. See if you can see the specs. I don't know anything about these, so again, this is for people who are like me, who's wanting to do something like this, curious about it, and just had no clue where to start, where to begin. Obviously, if you're just wanting it for the reasons I want it for, you're not gonna wanna spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, because I'm sure the price of a quality buffer can go way higher than $50, right? They have different speeds and other things like that. I'm gonna attempt to do this with little to no instructions, because that's just how I normally do it with everything. Hey, what's going on? This is Jsean. I'm cutting back into the clip or to the video because I wanted to do a follow-up on the grinder or the polisher. I picked it up from Harbor Freight. It's like a kind of like an off-brand model, or maybe something that they distribute only. And while it's very inexpensive, I'm always talking about how I don't read directions. Well, let me just tell you, I'm suggesting that you read the directions and learn a little bit more about it before you use it. Now, is it the best polisher? No, probably not. Is it gonna do everything that you want it to do? No, maybe not. It all depends on how you use it. And I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I don't know how to use it, and I'm not even gonna act like I know how to use it. I attempted to use it and I actually ruined some things of mine, or by not really understanding and just me assuming that it was just a simple process and you just turn it on, buff it, and that's pretty much it. It's a little more complicated than that. It's not complicated, but it's complicated if you don't know anything about it, which I didn't at all. So there was some things I successfully buffed or polished, which was, I think it's made out of brass, these little ornaments. And then I polished these cups. They were like, these metal flukes, or I don't know how to say it, but it used to be a very dull, even spotty on it, and I made them polished. Like, they're very shiny, almost like a mirror finish. It didn't take out every single scratch, but let me just tell you this: when you use the little bars for the polisher, and mind you, I don't know the names of this stuff. I never did this before in my life. I just seen it. It looked easy. I thought I could do it. Make sure you only use a little bit. You're not supposed to gunk it in there. And I was like pushing it so hard that I was using like half the stick, like fairly quickly. I didn't know what I was doing. And then it was to the point where when I was trying to polish something, it never polished. It just looked dirty. And it's because I had too much stuff on the pads or whatever they're called. So be careful with that. So I ended up, and remember this, when you polish any type of metal or material like that, you're actually grinding away slowly the layers of material. So if you're doing something like jewelry, be super careful. I actually polish some of my stuff. I wore my jewelry today, and I still have my glasses on because I'm still covered up, you know, my surgery I had, but I actually polished my teeth, and these are actually old. All right, I had these for a long time. I found them, and I just was like, you know what, instead of buying a new pair, I just utilized what I already had. And you know, I've been wearing them for the past few years on and off, or whatever it is, but I've had them for a long time. These particular pair, I've always gone through a lot of them, lost some, got them melted down, whatever the case is. But this particular pair, excuse me, used to be, they were started off in yellow, and I had them coated in white, and I didn't really like the finish to it, so I had them scraped off. Or I did it actually. I had like a little Dremel style tool, and I scraped it all off, but it gave it more of a kind of a matte type finish. It didn't gloss it up because I didn't have the right materials to actually polish it. So what happens is, With this, I was like, I don't really care about these. Let me just grind it away. I mean, you have to be very careful. You have to be careful on the position of where you hold it. I'm not going to be an instructor of tell you how to do it. I'm just telling you my experience so you can find out on your own, because you're not going to follow me and mess something up and then look at me like I did it, or you know what I'm saying? So I'd rather stay out of that part of it. I'm not going to give you a tutorial about it. I'm just giving you my experience to warn you, to make sure if you are like me and don't know much about this stuff, just to take your time, a few minutes, and go over what you need to do for safety, for your property and for yourself. So I was holding it. You're supposed to do it at when the bristle is facing you. You're supposed to do it from here to the very bottom, like 6 o'clock to say 3 o'clock. I started holding it down here in my fronts. If y'all don't know what they are, but the gold teeth, they flew out. I don't know what happened, but they flew like 20 feet. And luckily they didn't dent up or anything like that. But you see I'm wearing them now. But the problem is I buffed them so much. When I started to see them actually mirror shine, I was like, oh, it's working. I was getting excited. I kept going. I didn't know when to stop. And I actually, but because they have like cuts in them, and because of the cuts, some parts are deeper than the surface. So if you have a surface and you have diamond cuts in them, it goes into the thickness of the material, right? So because I had these cuts and I was buffing so hard, I actually punctured through the diamond cuts on 2 parts. It's like little holes, you know what I'm saying? And you probably can't see them obviously, but I punctured 2 holes in my jewelry, which is crazy. And then I have a solid chain here. So if you don't know, and a lot of people do it, I did it with my other chain. I've done it before. This is a rope. It's only like a 4mm, 5mm. It's not that thick. And I don't know if you know this, but when you measure like on a ruler, 4mm, 3mm, it's not the same as the thing that pinches. I don't know why. On a regular ruler, it would show smaller, but on a jewelry type of thing that clasps down, it shows that it's whatever it's supposed to be. Anyway, so I think this is like a 4mm. I have a 3mm, or maybe it's 2 or 3. It's very skinny. I wear it sometimes. You probably think it's the same chain, but it's not. That one is actually a hollow chain, right? And the reason why I got a hollow chain for that particular one is because I didn't really care about it. I just wanted something light, something small when I wear like a small piece or something like that. Something that's not too expensive, but still looks nice. Because at the end of the day, it kind of has the same look. It just doesn't feel the same. So if you picked it up in your hand, it will feel like featherweight. If you pick this chain up in your hand, you will feel a super difference. You'll be like, you can tell the quality difference. This is a solid chain. All my stuff is 14 karat. I don't care if it's white gold, yellow gold, whatever. I always try to get the best that I can for my situation. Now this is by far not the best type of situation you could have or whatever, but this is my personal, it's like a custom piece that I had designed and made. And yeah, so long story short is I wanted to buff my hollow chain. It just never looked, even though they kind of look the same, it just doesn't have a gloss to it, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted it buffed, and I took it to a jeweler, and they didn't feel comfortable buffing it, and they were saying that it was too frail. One is because it's so lightweight, so it is hollow, but it's super small too. And the problem is not the chain itself necessarily, because it's kind of woven together, but the clasp was very, very thin. It's like the rope started here and it got real small at the very end, where it's only like one little skinny loop holding the clasp to the rope chain, which is very weird. This one is not like that at all. Got it from 2 different places. I got this from a jeweler that does custom work, and I got the other one from a random place. Both are 14 karat, one's hollow, this is solid. So as I started holding the chain when it was buffing, I could see it was looking like it was jump roping, right? So I right off the bat, I was like, no wonder he said he didn't want to do it. So what I did is, I could have been doing it wrong also. I held it this way and it was working. I was like, oh, okay, this works. It's not throwing the chain around. But my stupid self, when I turned it, imagine this being the chain, I actually grabbed it by the clasp, which I said it was already a weak point. Instead of holding it in the middle of the rope like this, I grabbed it down here. And as soon as it hit it, like 1 second later, it broke. It's something that obviously can be fixed, but it's not like it broke in between the chain. It's only broke where it connects to the clasp. It still made me upset, man. I put a hole in my teeth. I broke my my clasp off my lighter chain. I didn't even attempt to do this. Actually, I was trying to polish the back. This is a custom-made piece, and on the back I had the jewelers. They had like their logo insignia on it, but it was a big block of gold plate on top, which I didn't like. It didn't make any sense to me, and I wanted it engraved. I got it engraved anyway. They took it off, but in the while doing it, they actually like concave my piece a little bit, and they gave it back to me in a satin finish. So if my piece was to spin around, it didn't look very like polished, mirror shine like the edges of it and like it used to be. So I just took it upon myself, got it engraved, and then I didn't really like the way it looked because it kind of made it look, I just didn't like the way it looked. So I tried to polish that out. Now, while it feels smooth, I definitely noticed the concave part of it still. It feels smooth, but it definitely doesn't have the mirror shine. And I was like, let me stop before I ruin my stuff for real. If you have general things that are metal, like metal cups for whatever, like wedding cups or stuff like that, you can definitely polish those. It just put a little bit of, not hard force where you're stopping the wheel, but you don't want to super light force either, or it's not going to do anything. So let me give you an example of what something looked like before and after, and I'm gonna stop the video and come right back. All right, so I'm back. So I want to give you an example. I was so flustered and frustrated with what was going on that I didn't actually do before and after like I should have, like I was planning to. I was trying to do slow motion, nice little B-roll, and it was so horrible that I didn't actually even get it to that point. So let me just show you. This right here, this is just some material. This is something from like Things to Remember. I don't know if you can see exactly. Let me try to zoom in real quick. If you can see this, you see all these spots on it? That's not just like tarnish, it's something else. I know what metal looks like when it tarnishes, or like silver or something like that, but it looks really bad. It actually looks like it was scraped off, or the color, I don't know, it looks horrible. I don't know what this is made of. I used to think it was silver, but I have no idea. Silver, I've seen silver tarnish, but I've never seen it quite like this, so I don't believe it's silver. But this cup right here, this looked like this. So hopefully you can see it. Let me get my face out. Can you see that? Even the color, the shine, this is like super shiny silver. To be honest, I don't even think these were this shiny from the beginning. I might have, because it has a satin finish right here, I might have even took off coatings that was part of this style or something. I don't know. This right here, it's like a little ornament thing. Don't ask me what it is because I don't even know, but it was given. So you see how shiny this is? Unfortunately, I don't have it before, but you can see how it's like a mirrored shine. You know what I mean? So this kind of had the same look as this, with spots on it, but it was darker, almost like a penny. The color, well, not as dark as a penny, but it was much darker. And then after polishing it, like I said, I still see fine micro scratches, but it even lightened the color up quite a bit, where it almost looks like gold. You know what I mean? So you can see it kind of matches even my teeth a little bit. But unfortunately, I don't have it before and after. So stuff like that, I mean, even with no experience, I don't think it's very hard to do. It's very hard to mess up. Just don't buff and keep buffing, because you will potentially grind right through whatever it is that you're doing. The only thing I would suggest, especially if you don't know what you're doing like me, man, really take your time, especially on light. I keep saying especially, but on things that are fragile or small or lightweight, or just, yeah, fragile items like certain fine pieces of jewelry. Maybe a ring is okay if you're not too worried about it. I would attempt to do it on something that you don't care about first. But especially on chains and stuff like that, I wouldn't even do it unless you have a really nice solid piece. And if you have a nice solid piece or something much better than this, you're not gonna be probably doing it yourself like me. As I was saying before, I'm the type of person where when I invest in something, I try to do the best that I can do, or best that I can afford for that circumstance or situation at the time. But I'm super cheap. I don't know why. Maybe that's how I buy certain things, because I'm so cheap in other areas of my life. Because by no means am I rich or anything like that. It's just that I choose where my money goes. You know how some people like always go out to eat, always go on vacations? Well, I'm not really doing vacationing. I hardly go out to eat. I do buy groceries and cook and stuff like that, but I don't spend money on things like that. So that could be where the difference is between me having something and then maybe you looking to get something that you feel like you can't afford. I don't know. It all depends where you put your money and how you manage it, I guess. Everybody's situation is different, so that's a whole different video, a whole different situation. So with that being said, I still recommend the buffer, whatever the correct name for it is. I really do like it. I just know now from learn from my experiences, unless you know what you're doing or take your time to learn what you're doing. Be careful what you use it on. Household items, cool. I practiced polishing on a pair of scissors, stainless steel scissors, and while it did kind of shine and feel smoother, I still saw the micro scratches. So I don't know if that means you need to cut deeper into it or polish deeper into it, or I needed to get new wheels because I ruined them, because apparently you shouldn't contaminate them with different things. And I was confused which the white one was for and the red bar was for polishing purposes. That was my fault. Super newbie at it, and I didn't know what I was doing. So with that being said, make sure you do everything at top level, at your top level. Remember, you're in no competition with anybody except yourself, so make sure your next move is your best move, or at least your better move. Just be careful, don't do like me, and learn from my mistakes. I was pretty stupid with it. If you have jewelry or something that is delicate, just take it to a jeweler, and if they assess it and they tell you they don't even trust doing it, which I should have listened, then you need to take that advice. I think that's pretty much it. So I'm kind of rambling as usual. Until next time. Boom.